Greetings, exalted ones.
Commander IDEN VERSIO, reporting.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Darthmaul516 and in today's video we are doing an IDEN VERSIO hero guide. Given that I've uploaded some IDEN gameplay recently and that you guys seem to enjoy my IDEN gameplays in the past, I figured I'd add her as an additional guide for you guys. So it's just like the other guides. I'm basically going to be talking about her abilities, star cards, and any tips and tricks for both Galactic Assault and Heroes vs Villains. So that's what we're going to be discussing in today's video. So before I get started, for any new players out there, I'm going to show the abilities real quick, just here. Okay, so for IDEN VERSIO, her stun droid is the L1 ability, and that's probably like the best ability that IDEN VERSIO has. Basically her droid just goes out and stuns the area and stuns anyone in the nearby area pretty much for a short period of time. So in case you don't know, her droid's this little ID-10 at the back here. So I'll quickly just show it off real quick. So let's just stun you. So there's that little droid. It goes out and stuns them in the nearby area. So that's what that's designed to do. Okay, so L1 and R1 is basically a pulse cannon. It's basically a long-range rifle, and that needs to be charged up before using it. For anyone who played Battlefront 1, you'd be familiar, at least with how a pulse cannon works. But I will quickly try and show that off if I can. And obviously, R1 is basically what it says. It's basically a droid shield. So basically, her droid creates a shield around her, protecting her from blaster damage. It's basically like her own personal shield, pretty much. So in addition to all that, IDEN VERSIO uses the TL50 heavy repeater, which is basically a gun that a lot of elite Imperial troopers use. It's got a primary fire, which is what I'm firing right now, and the secondary fire, which is basically like a concussion type shot that you aim at, pressing the L2 for the PS4. So now that that's out of the way, let's get on to some tips here. IDEN VERSIO is someone that, despite her really good damage output, she's still better off being a support character for your team, whether it's Galactic Assault or Heroes vs Villains respectively. So ideally what you'd really want to do is be at a range from the person you're trying to shoot. After all, she's a ranged hero, like Blaster or Villain. So I'm going to quickly discuss some Heroes vs Villains tips real quick for you guys, and then I'll touch on some Galactic Assault tips and the star cards that I recommend you use as well. So firstly, as I said, IDEN's someone that you want to use at range, and because she can, despite her, pretty sure it's 650 base health, she can be still fragile. Not as fragile as Boba Fett, but enough where she can take damage easily if flanked by several opponents or even just one, depending on their skill and who it is. So especially with the likes of Chewie and any lightsaber hero, she can sometimes be at trouble, but with a few extra tips from this video, hopefully you'll get an idea of how to survive a little longer and even kill them. So as I mentioned before, IDEN VERSIO has both the primary and secondary fire, and it's really important to use both of these as much as you can. Typically what I like to do when I play is I like to use the secondary fire in conjunction with the primary one. So this is probably a good time to die in a second anyway, because I'll just quickly show a star card in a second, but the one I'm putting on right now is basically called Friend in Battle, and whenever she stuns a villain, a hero or any infantry, she regains some health back. So it's basically her own health regen star card, which is really good. So as I was saying, when playing HVV in particular, you'd really want to make use of both her primary and secondary fire for a TL50. So ideally what you'd want to do is when you're shooting someone, shoot with her primary, but then also get some secondary fire shots in between, because it will really set them back. You get a few shots on the secondary fire, so no matter who the hero is, they cannot block the secondary fire. So even if someone like Luke Skywalker or Rey is blocking the secondary fire, they'll still take damage. The only one who can actually block it is Yoda when he's actually blocking. But when he's not, he's vulnerable like anyone else.
Give me cover.
So all you have to do is basically have the trajectory in line with where the enemy is, and you'll basically damage them. So in any particular area, so if they're in front of me when my cursor is, aim it there. And there's a decent area of effect for the concussion type shot. So we'll do damage no matter what. So what you definitely want to do is get some shots in. So say it's an enemy, get some shots in real quick. It's easier when you're actually versing someone, because you know, if you go, oh crap, I really got to shoot them, you know. So excuse me, as I was saying with her secondary fire, it's probably one of her most valuable assets that she has, and I will touch on that in more depth for Galactic Assault down the line. But very quickly here, I want to talk about how well it can really be used in Heroes vs Villains, which obviously I'm sort of discussing at the moment. So as I was saying, you can do it from a distance if you really need to, in both Galactic Assault and Heroes vs Villains if you're pinned down. But there's a few extra tricks I use with the secondary fire that I tend to do. In my IDEN VERSIO no shock video, I did discuss that, because IDEN is heavily reliant on a stun droid to actually get a quick advantage on the opposition. So what I tend to do is, whether I'm a lightsaber hero is attacking me or a blaster hero, I'll have to try and do, to get better trajectory sometimes, and if I'm in a close spot, I'll have to do a jump secondary. So say for example, I'm in this area here, I'm getting spammed out by Luke, he's here, I'll roll and I'll do a jump thing like this. Because instead of like, say I did the same thing except I stopped, it gives them another chance to quickly lunge at you again. And at that brief second, you're losing an opportunity to actually damage them. So usually I'll roll, I'll jump, roll again when you need to. I'll even do that when there's a shooter. So say there's like Han Solo there or something, you can do a similar thing, get some trajectories off.
The war ends here and now.
Ideally, what you'd want to do basically is IDEN is obviously not stay in one place too long when you're shooting a tail 50. So whether you have to do some jump secondaries like I showed, or do a bit of rolling, or take a bit of cover, then you definitely need to do that. Because the longer IDEN's alive in any game mode, the better an asset she'll be, especially for HVV when she's supporting the likes of Vader and Palpatine, etc. Because as I said, you want to use her as a support character, so whenever someone like Vader is battling like Luke or Chewie or anyone, you'd want to be at like a reasonable medium distance to actually do some damaging, because it's harder for any hero to take two people at once, especially when it's a shooter and a lightsaber villain or hero, because that's when it gets really harder. So IDEN is someone where you definitely want to be a support character, but at the same time actually be in the battle as well, so be up there and actually shooting many people. At least in HVV, that's definitely what you want to do. Excuse me. As I was saying in different hero dive videos, there's nothing wrong with tactically retreating, so if you need to fall back with your shield, don't be afraid to do that. Just be mindful though that lightsaber villains can still penetrate through it, and sometimes Chewie can. I don't know why he's sometimes able to do that. I mean, it is a personal shield after all, but when you have that activated, the biggest threat is to worry about your lightsaber heroes that you go up against, so Rey, Luke and Yoda, and down the line when they come out, Obi-Wan and Anakin as well. So ideally when you use the personal shield, I use it against blaster heroes if there's a few of them, or if you're pinned down. But don't be afraid to have a quick counter, so have the shield on for maybe like 5 seconds max, but then quickly lunge out with her shock droid, or just a few shots with her tail 50. Because usually when you're playing with a shield, usually they don't expect you to quickly try and counter them in any way. So even if they're shooting at you this way and you go back like this a bit as they're shooting at you, sometimes that's better because you'll always know where they are. So that's a really handy tip as well. So say I'm pinned down by a few people, got a shield up, and they're shooting at me. Get some secondaries and TL50 real quick, and if your shock's ready, quickly use that. Because as I said, they definitely won't expect it. I think that's recently some really well-based tips for IDEN. Even for the newest of players, she's very simple to use once you get used to her secondary fire and you use it with their primary. Because anyone can basically use their stun droid, you just have to press a button and then it gives you an opportunity to shoot. I've been talking for a bit and this game went reasonably quick, so I'm going to start up another little game and I'm going to continue the guide from there, so bear with me guys. Hey guys, before I get into the rest of the guide, I did forget to mention that I did use, there is a pulse cannon and I said I was going to show it off, so I'm going to quickly try and do that. That's how it works there. So basically, you charge it up so the line goes all the way at the end, or earlier if you want to, and then you just use it. I'll solely just try and demonstrate it there. Obviously I wasn't in a good position to use it. So you're either at a really long range or really good coverage when you want to use it. Not too close because it's not like the Battlefront 1 pulse cannon, unfortunately. Because this one takes a lot longer to charge up. So if I can get into another covered position, I'll get another shot off. But in saying that as well, I do have an IDEN VERSIO arcade video that I've got up as well. I'll link that in the description for you guys as well.
Where are they?
So you guys will see, it's basically like Onslaught. It's like the other arcade videos that I've recorded. And you basically, it's you against all infantry, and you have to survive. So in those matches, you do see a little bit of pulse cannon work. So if you want to see that, just check it out as well. But it's all about combining every ability she has along with your skill set and
Let's light
all
this
that.
room up a little.
Anyways, let's quickly get a pulse cannon off so you guys can see the rest of the guide. So again, charge up like so, aim for your target, like that. It's a quick recharge time, so if you do take a shot, for example, and you do something else, see it's already ready to go again.
Let's light
So
this room up a little.
if you need it, she has a really good switch ability, like switch in terms of her pulse cannon and TL50. So if you want to get a few shots off and then someone comes at you, you can quickly switch back to your TL50.
Droid.
Then if you want to go back to sniping, that's a good way to do so as well. So as you saw, there's a few good shots there. You don't have to charge it up all the way, but the longer it's charged, the more damage you do. It is reasonably accurate if you aim well, so make sure you use that up as well. Anyways guys, I'm going to continue the rest of the guide, so let's get back into it. Okay guys, I'm back. As I was just talking about, IDEN's TL50 is really good to use, and she's very simple here to use. She's basically like, excuse me, she's basically like anyone uses an assault rifle and can do some damage up close or long range when necessary. This is probably a good time to go over some star cards since I'll have to spawn in first. So IDEN has a really good range of star cards to use, but I think regardless of whether you're playing Galactic Assault or the hero game modes, this card here, the Friend in Battle, which I briefly touched on before, is probably the most recommended card that I'd use for both game modes, especially when you're a newer player. But Galactic Assault, that's a must, especially if you want to get kill streaks. So basically, as I said before, whenever she stuns anyone with a stun droid, she gains 30 health, but it's even more when it's a hero. So basically, if you combine that with droid batteries here, so the stun and shield droid have like decreased recharge time. So combine those two together, you'll be able to use her stun droid a lot more often and then get more health back as a result. So on top of that as well, there's a few other shock cards as well that you could use in HVV if you wanted to. So this one is basically when searching for targets has an increased area of effect, and this one's a bit different. It's an area of effect when it actually shocks them. So if you've already found the area where you can shock someone and use it, if there's like a bigger area of effect and there's more people will be shocked basically. Shield, longer period of time. If you're really a defensive person, you need to use your shield a lot. Like if you're new, it's not too bad of an idea if you need to fall back a lot, but I wouldn't use it too much. If you're going to use a shield card, probably use this one, has more maximum health. So even if you lose those extra 10 seconds, you still have a little more health of the shield, so you'll be able to soak up more shots there when you're falling back. This one I would not worry about at all. It's probably the worst IDEN card that she has, so I'm not going to touch on that there. If you quickly read it on the screen whenever you're watching, I wouldn't worry about it. So I think I've touched on those. Obviously there's two TL50 cards here. So this one's simple, build less heat when fired. It's like Han Solo's DL44. He has a card like that as well. And this one, she can use her secondary fire more frequently. For Galactic Assault and Heroes vs Villains, that's probably a very good card to use. So if you use your secondary fire enough, you can sacrifice not having this card here and just simply have these three cards as your loadout, because that's a pretty standard IDEN loadout that a lot of any players really can use. So using a secondary fire more frequently, she already has a decent like her heat build up's not too bad, so you can get away with that there. Obviously, as I was talking about, it's important to be able to use this your stun droid and your droid shield whenever you can. The more often you use it, the better IDEN will do. And then gaining health back anytime you use the stun is really important. So those three cards there are probably a really good set of cards you can use. Me personally, for Heroes vs Villains, I don't use those at all, because I try to use the stun droid as less as possible, but that's just me, because I back in my firing skills with a TL50, and I use the shock reach as well. Because you're probably either going to kill enemies quick or die sometimes, I don't worry about getting health back too much, but it all depends on your playstyle and your IDEN capabilities, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. So that's just me personally, but Galactic Assault I'll always use Friend in Battle, so I'll definitely switch out this one for Friend in Battle. But what I might try and do in my future Galactic Assault games whenever I use her is probably switch out the Cool Blaster for droid batteries. Because of the scale of Galactic Assault maps, you're probably more likely to use her secondary fire more often anyway. So that's just probably the easy way to go. As I've just touched on there, IDEN has a lot of really good star cards. So it simply depends on your IDEN Versio playstyle and what you like to use. So a lot of their cards are very well balanced for a slightly different type of IDEN game, like the way you play IDEN. If it's slightly different, you can alter the cards and use them the way you want to. So she's probably one of the most balanced blaster villains or heroes in terms of star cards, as well, with a well-ranged gun at her disposal. So that's really good there. Excuse me. I've touched on reasonably some Heroes vs Villains points already, so I'm going to quickly go over some Galactic Assault tips before I make any final points and then wrap this up. So as I was saying earlier on in the video, IDEN is someone like, she's being a support character, so charging in recklessly at any time, regardless of whether it's HVV or not, is definitely a reckless move. In saying that as well, IDEN Versio is not someone that you'd want to use on her own solely to target the objective. That's not the best thing IDEN can do. She's more like what I was saying with Boba Fett last time. She's definitely someone who can actually, or even Han Solo when I was done those guides. She's definitely someone who can actually help you get the objective. So she's better off clearing the way with a secondary fire, especially in close quarters objectives in the maps. Should be very useful for that. Getting her stun droid off, and if she can't kill all of them, hopefully your teammates can help you do so. So she's more better off actually helping clear the objective as opposed to going for it. So, because defending the objective on her own is not IDEN's forte, despite how good she can be. So that's what you want to do there. As I said before, Galactic Assault, you definitely should use the Friend in Battle, no matter how good your IDEN skills are. Because in Galactic Assault, there's a lot of different ways where you can get damaged, so always having that card on. So even if you take damage early, you better slowly regain your health back by using a stun droid. But try and do so at the right times as well, so don't actually just run in and then use it. So preferably, if there's someone coming around the corner, it's at a reasonable distance where you can shock them. Get your stun droid off. So try not to lose health while you're actually getting the shock off, is what I'm trying to say. Because otherwise, it's almost like you just wasted a shock. You may have actually shocked them and maybe got a kill, but if you're not getting the health back, then why use it, you know what I mean? Alright, that guy's been annoying. So as I was just able to do then, I was able to get the shock off but also take some cover. So I got the health back and didn't lose any other health in doing that. So whenever you pin down, don't be afraid to run out and use the shield to get away whenever you need to. Because it's a very underrated thing to use, and especially if you either make a wrong decision when going in or you're being flanked by a lot of infantry. That's always a good thing to do. Again, as I said, don't charge in too often, so whether the battle's at a standstill like a stalemate and there's like you all just can't push through any objective, or the other team can't get past yours, having IDEN there to 5 secondaries down the line and also be able to get a stun droid off is very important. So being at a reasonable safe distance is definitely your way to go there in terms of defending or attacking the objectives. Which I'm basically emphasizing the point where IDEN is the support character and that's how she's best used. But whenever you need to do damage on your own, don't be afraid to do it. Like, she's not someone where if she gets in trouble, she doesn't always have to fall back on her own. Like, if she's in a 1v1 against like a blaster hero in Heroes vs Villains, or she's against a few soldiers like this where you can get a shock off and then kill them, she's not completely useless on her own is what I'm trying to say. But obviously, like any battle, or whenever you use any hero, know your battles and know when to attack and when to fall back. Understanding that and being able to use IDEN's abilities in her gun well will help determine whether you do well or not with her. But as I said, she's a pretty well balanced hero, so it shouldn't take anyone too long to get the hang of her. But once you guys hopefully take in some of these tips, you'll be able to get a little more advanced as her. So not only being able to shock them, but being able to do damage without it. If you guys want to get a rough idea of what that could look like, I do have an IDEN VERSIO no shock challenge, which I will link in the description as it's already been uploaded. So if you guys want to check that out. You don't have to do this, but if you scroll further down my channel back to earlier days when I started, IDEN's stun droid used to not work when the game first came out, so you had to rely solely on your skills as a TL50. Then again, the combat role was a bit overpowered back then as well, so you're probably better off just looking at my my no stun droid challenge, because that's probably the best one to look at. So I'll just link that one for you guys, and I might link maybe a normal gameplay or two from a separate video, just to see everything at our disposal. Again, I don't really change my cards up too much in HVV, so don't be too upset if I don't use the cards you use or the cards you want. Again, it's all about your playstyle and whatever you like to use. But in saying that, it's not like I haven't tried those cards out either. I use them when I feel I want to, or if I want to spice things up. But again, my playstyle with IDEN is to actually use a TL50 more often than a stun droid to get some good kills off. That's just me personally. But in saying that, I think I've made a lot of really good points here, and I don't think there's too much more to cover. So I am going to wrap up the video here as well. So thank you guys again for watching. If you want any more hero guides, let me know in the comment section and I'll get them up. In saying that as well, give me some challenge videos as well, because I don't want to be just a heroes and villains type channel. I want to be able to do some more infantry stuff. I have done some in the past, but I want to do a little bit more, so make them more frequent. Have a reasonable balance between hero gameplay and trooper gameplay. So that's what I want to be able to do more for my channel down the line. So anyways guys, as I said, that's going to do it for the video today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
May the Force be with you, always.